What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 61, and we start today's episode off with a game against Liverpool here at the Hawthorns. Of course, in the Premier League, 3 games to go now, and as we're finishing our second season, you'll be able to see by the table, mathematically there is still a chance of us qualifying for the Champions League next year with a top 4 finish, but we're 6 points behind Manchester City and Spurs. With only 3 games to go, it's highly unlikely, and we take on the side who are directly below us in 6th place, Liverpool, who are only behind us on goal difference, and it just goes to show you how tight this league has been. There hasn't been a single team that's been, running well in the division or, just pulling away from the pack. There's no space, do you know what I mean? There's no space whatsoever. This division is unbelievably tight, and it's a shame, it really is, because I was desperately hoping that with some good end of season form that we have been showing, we might just sneak in, but unfortunately the sides above us haven't been slipping up enough, and that is why we're probably going to have to settle for a 5th finish place at the very most. But we take on Liverpool, and the first chance would fall directly from kickoff here as Niang gives it to an Ichibi and he finds Wellington Silva. He quickly roulettes round Barini. I spotted a run of Niang, chip a ball through, Mignolet comes out, gets caught in no man's land, and we score a goal. The fastest goal of the series so far, no doubt about it, in 1 minute and 7 seconds on the virtual clock. Niang heading the ball past the Belgian goalkeeper, and he makes it 1-0, and it's the worst possible start. Those travelling Liverpool fans there behind the goal must have been wondering how on earth their side could be so poor right from kickoff, but I'm very pleased we do take the lead, but I just could not believe how routine it was. I mean, as soon as I saw Niang running, I just knew that the defenders weren't going to have the run on a pacey striker like Niang, and Sacco is guilty of sleeping. Mignolet gets caught in no man's land. It's a simple goal, and it's West Bromwich Albion 1, Liverpool 0. So Niang gets the goal, on course for the Golden Boot as things stand, and we take a 1-goal lead here at the Hawthorns. But only 8 minutes later, Steven Gerrard stood over this free kick, swung it into the box. We failed to get the ball away of Yusuf Malumbu. It dropped to Alberto Moreno, the left back, and the Spaniard had a routine finish, really. He got his first goal of the season there for Liverpool, and he equalised. So very poor to concede. I think it was 9 minutes actually later after scoring the first goal of the game, and it was really poor. A simple ball into the box. We didn't deal with it, and both goals really were very poor defensively from both teams. So West Brom 1, Liverpool 1. But in the 21st minute, we're through again here. Niang to an Ichibi. He's got the pace on Sacco, who just couldn't keep up, and really, all through the season I've been finishing those sort of chances 9 times out of 10, but that is a shocking miss with an Ichibi there, and it is still 1-1. And in the 36th minute, Fabio Barini, the Italian, slides it through to his Italian colleague Mario Balotelli, but Ben Foster makes the save and turns it behind for a corner. So still 1-1, and in the second half here, Liverpool tried to get themselves in front early on. The header by Barini, well saved by Foster, and we cleared the ball away. So still 1-1 here at the Hawthorns, but Liverpool beginning to look the much better side, and again they're through with Raheem Sterling, turning Jolie and Lescott, finding Daniel Sturridge, who shoots it, but it's a good save by Foster, and again we get the ball away. So Liverpool looking very dangerous as they came forward here in the second half, and in the 74th minute Daniel Sturridge comes through again, crosses the ball in, picks out Paul Pogba, and Pogba's header goes wide. So 1-1 was the final score, and that did mean that mathematically there were no more chances for us to qualify for the Champions League, because as you'll see by the results, the teams above us won, and that means that even if we win both our next games 99,000-0, we will still fail to qualify for the Champions League. So that's very disappointing, it really is. I mean, we tried hard in that game, but to be honest, we were lucky to get away with a point. And it just goes to show, this season has been a really inconsistent one. There hasn't really been any month where I've looked at the results and thought, yeah, we played really well in every single game. Do you know what I mean? We've been very inconsistent. 1 win, 1 draw, one draw, 1 loss, 1 loss, 1 draw, 1 win, and so on and so forth. We've never really had a good run, and that's been our downfall this year. As you can see, we've dropped to 7th place now, and as we take on Queen's Park Rangers, battling for survival here in the penultimate game of the season, I don't know. I guess we're just reflecting now and thinking to ourselves, we're playing for points and playing for pride, obviously, but we know that we can't do anything else. What I'm doing in these final 2 games is basically just reflecting on this season. I've been frustrated in most parts, I really have. The Ade injury really did cost us, even though we started to pick up things directly after that with Niang playing up top with an Ichibi when Berahino was injured as well. That injury really threw us off the game. I think if Brown Ade was still in the side, we still probably would have scored enough goals to possibly get us into the top 4, but Football is a game, and if you can't play the game and you can't win the game, then don't play it, basically. And quite frankly, I just haven't been good enough. I guess that's the only way I can describe how this season's been, to be honest. But anyway, we take on Queen's Park Rangers. First chance fell there, but Ben Foster made a good save, and then he pushed Zambrano away really comically. And in the 24th minute, QPR almost took the lead, but the header went over the bar. But in this game, really, it was all QPR. Matt Phillips comes forward here, and he puts the ball just wide, and they were looking very, very threatening from the off, and looking very, very strong indeed. And in the 82nd minute, a good chance again here. Leroy Fer plays it out wide towards Yoon Suk Young, down the left hand side, takes on Carl Jenkinson, crosses the ball in, picks out Gomes in the centre, he flicks it down to Bobby Zamora, but Foster turns it behind, and it was how the game finished. A 0-0 draw, very, very poor. I think I had one shot in the entire game. I guess I just wasn't in the mood, really, after knowing that we wouldn't qualify for the Champions League. Even though we probably wouldn't have done anyway, it was still frustrating. And we had to settle for a 0-0 draw. So yeah, disappointing result. And again, you can look at the sides above us. Other than Chelsea, everyone won, and it's just been how the season's been for us, really. We've been reliant on results elsewhere sometimes, and they haven't came in. And when we've done the business ourselves, the teams above us and around us have got the wins themselves. So I don't know. It's been a frustrating season, and I've been reading the comments as well, and I'll be addressing those in a minute too, from people saying, can you leave West Bromwich Albion? Can you go somewhere else? I think it's kind of a bit too quick to ask in the second season when it's not even finished yet, but I can understand why, because maybe you don't feel as though there's enough progression here with West Brom. But personally speaking, I think that as we're in 8th place now, trying to win this final game against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, I think personally that next year we should definitely be qualifying for the Champions League if we make the right signings in the summer. We'll have Brown a Day back next year. Don't forget, he was on course for Golden Boot for a season-long injury. I'll definitely be looking to strengthen the centre-back position. Plus, we've got Rodriguez and Carrillo coming in on free transfers, both who I predict will be 80 plus players by then. So I personally believe that we should stay at West Brom for at least one more year and see what happens after that. If we fail to get into the Champions League next year, then sure, we'll look at leaving, but personally speaking, I think we're doing okay here. But still, we took on Crystal Palace for the final game of the season. As you can see by my lineup, it was much changed, loads and loads of replacements in, just to see how the other fringe players would do. First chance fell there, but the shot went over, and in the 55th minute it was still scoreless, but as Ezekiel Fryers finds Joe Ledley, he spreads it out wide towards Davy Proper, who is all alone, and that's a proper good finish into the back of the net. That's probably not how you pronounce the name, so that pun means nothing, but whatever. It's Crystal Palace 1, West Bromwich Albion 0, and it is a goal there in the 55th minute. So poor defending and a good finish though past the goalkeeper, and it's 1-0 to Palace. But we would go ahead and equalise through that man and by Niang in the 66th minute, getting on the end of a Gamboa cross, and a good header by the Frenchman as he is going for the Golden Boot. He's battling out with Wayne Rooney right now, and I think that goal just about edges Niang in front. So it's 1-1, and we're back on level terms as Niang picks up his 20th goal of the season. And late on, it was still level here, and it looks as though we're going to draw our final game and have 3 draws in a row to end the season. But as Niang finds Jordan Nabita, he takes on Martin Kelly, beats the former Liverpool fullback, crosses the ball in, and Victor Anichebe is there to head it in and make it Crystal Palace 1, West Bromwich Albion 2. And as you'll see in the bottom left, I've lost track of how many times I've had to show Victor Anichebe coming off the bench in this series. It must have been into double figures now. It must be, because it's absolutely ridiculous. But we celebrate in front of travelling fans. It's a bit over enthusiastic for celebrations, don't you think? I mean, yeah, sure, I'm pleased that we turned the game around and we're now leading. We're probably going to win the final game of the season, but it's not going to mean anything. But anyway, Crystal Palace 1, West Bromwich Albion 2. In the 86th minute, Palace tried to get themselves back on level terms here with Casso crossed the ball towards Fryers. Ezekiel Fryers collects the ball and finds Joel Ward, who crosses the ball in, and he almost catches out the goalkeeper, Kim, our South Korean, but it hits the bar and goes over. And in stoppage time, it was still 2-1. We almost made it 3-1 later on. Saido Berahino plays it inside towards Niang. Niang takes his time and shoots, but it's a great save by the goalkeeper, and then the follow-up shot is saved as well. And eventually Palace get the ball away. So final score, Crystal Palace 1, West Bromwich Albion 2, and that does indeed finish our second season here with West Bromwich Albion. And I have to say, you'll see the full league table in just a moment. I don't think it's been bad at all. I mean, yeah, sure, I had ambitions of qualifying for the Champions League this year. Maybe that was a little bit too ambitious, considering the fact our squad is still not as strong as the others around us. But even so, had we not had the injury to Brown today, had we, played a little bit better, had my defence been a bit stronger, also worth remembering, there's been a lot of games where Ben Foster's made a bit of a howler in a few of them and cost us some points, but that's something I can't help. But even so, it's mostly my fault. But I have to say, I think we've done okay personally, and as you'll see, I did go ahead and buy a new youth scout. I said I was going to do that. There were 2 5-star experience and judgment scouts. I chose the Danish one, and Nikolai Anderson comes in, and we will do some youth scouting next year and hopefully pick up some very decent players. One thing I've always been frustrated about in FIFA 15, well, any FIFA career mode, is that when you leave a club, those youth scouts disappear. I'd love the option to take your staff with you for a cut figure price, you know, so I signed that scout for like 7.5 million. I'd love to be able to take him with me if I go to a new club for, let's say, £3 million. But anyways, you can see we finished in 6th place with 63 points. Aston Villa, Norwich and Crystal Palace ended up getting relegated. Niang did indeed win the Golden Boot as well. He held off the threat of Wayne Rooney to win it by a single goal. So yeah, no Aston Villa next year. That'll be a bit of a shame. Not going to have any games with our rivals in the league at least, but one thing that is worth mentioning as well is that I have been saying that the division has been really, really tight this year, and I also looked this up after I looked at the final league table. In this season in the game, 1st to 8th place, there was a gap of 12 points. So that just goes to show you how tight it was. Just 12 points separating the division winners to the side that just finished outside the Europa League place. To put that into perspective, last year in real life, there were 30 points behind Manchester City, who finished 1st, and Southampton, who finished 8th. So, you know, I think we have to be really pleased that we've actually been competing with those sides and not being too many points behind, you know, not just Champions League places, but division winners. But anyways, you would have seen Niang did indeed get top scorer. Ben Foster, for the 2nd year running, won player of the tournament. Now, that's something which is crazy. Don't you think? That's 2 years in a row now our captain's won player of the tournament. And again, both have been really debatable. He also got himself into the team of the season as well. Last year, Nastasic got into team of the season too, but this year, only Foster as our representative. And there you go. USA also came back to us and said, "What's going on, bruv? We ain't heard from you," if they talk like that. And said, you know, "Are you going to manage our nation or what?" And we just said, yeah, because it just helps to have another nation where you can look at players and not need to worry about scouting them. And also Jack Rose, our 3rd choice goalkeeper, has his contract up at the end of the year, so we just gave him a new one. There's no sign-on bonus. He's not asking for an increase in wages, so it's like his contract just basically carries on with no fees to pay, basically. So we may as well. I always like, you know, if you're a long-term sub, you know, I always like to have at least 3 goalkeepers. So you know, it's just there for peace of mind, really. And there you go. You saw the final scout report there from our youth scout, I should say. We signed 1 player, I think, and rejected the rest. And as you can see, to end the season off, we do indeed have a squad report. You also see the stats as well as the attributes of the players as well, and then you will see us completely end the season. So yeah, it's not too bad. You know, I've been looking at the squad and I've been thinking where we need to improve on next year. I'd definitely like a new centre back, but I don't know whether we're going to have the budget to bring one in, really. I'd also like a new right back as well. Carl Jenkinson didn't develop at all, despite the fact he played the majority of the games. And, I mean, I don't know, we've talked about this a few times before now. I can't understand why players, well, particularly players like Nastasic, who've been playing pretty much every single game since arriving, and not been doing too badly at all. As I said a minute ago, he got into the team of the season in the first year. He just hasn't developed, and I don't get it. I really, really don't. But regardless, I know Gamboa is a decent right back as well, but I've never been too convinced about him defensively. Offensively he's quite good, but defensively he's not as strong as I'd like him to be. So possibly thinking about replacing one or possibly even both of those right backs and looking for a couple of others. DeAndre Yedlin, Kyle Walker, a couple of names I'm thinking of right now in my head. But yeah, mainly centre back and right back, and possibly a new centre midfielder as well. I am looking to sell on Craig Gardner as well as Santiago Grillo going back to Manchester United. We'll have to wait and see though. Don't forget we do have Ricardo Rodriguez, the left back, and Andre Carrillo, the winger, coming in next year on pre-contract, so that'll really beef up the squad a little bit as well. And then we'll see with the budget as well what we'll do from there and who we'd like to sign. But as you can see, Brown Day has indeed come back to training now, which means he will be back for the start of next season, which is fantastic. I do think we missed him a little bit personally, and I'm looking forward to seeing him next year, and hopefully he'll be scoring the goals left, right and centre again, just like he was this season before his injury. But that does indeed end the episode, guys. So as always, a big thank you for watching the video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed the episode, then please do leave a like, because that is much appreciated, and of course it really, really does help my channel out. Don't forget, like I said, you know, I will be thinking about possibly moving next season if we're not competing for the Champions League places, but if we are, I'd rather stay here. But That's what I wanted to address anyway, just to address some of those comments and let you guys know. But even so, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And there you go. So thanks very much for watching the video, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed it. And I will see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon, where we'll be starting a new season with West Bromwich Albion.